Hey guys, welcome back to TomGirl TV. We are on episode 13 and we have actor, writer, producer, voiceover goddess, Lori Allen. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Ready to sparkle?
Oh,
1, 2, 3.
song for you.
Oh, it's so sweet. Oh, I love it.
It was
I
so
want to
big.
walk around with that.
I love
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Have you seen this?
No, I
I
have not
found this
seen
on
that.
YouTube. So this is courtesy of Nickelodeon and for SpongeBob. It's
No
called
way.
Like a Girl, which I thought was fitting for TomGirl.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
we'll just
I've
play a
never
little bit.
seen that.
Yeah, you gotta go check it out.
Would
It's
it
a
be
video
bad if I
all
had like
about
a
you,
boombox
Pearl.
and I was like, hey? And for oh my gosh, that's so cute. I've never seen that before.
It's adorable. So this, guys, that Pearl is Lori.
Yay! Hi, everybody.
Yeah, Lori, this is Lori Allen. Tell everybody where they can follow you at on social media.
Oh my gosh, I'm so distracted. I'm like,
I know.
"Guys,
I
shiny
surprised
things,
her, sorry."
shiny things, right? I seem to have numbers associated with my social media. So Lori Allen, the numeral 1, and on Instagram, Lori Talk 4. Because I guess there was just like people above me, which how dare they? Before me, oh my goodness. And then I just have my website, LoriAllen.com. And what else? What are the other social medias?
I think we'll have your Twitter handle up probably underneath
Yeah,
you
Lori
right
Allen
now.
1,
And
Instagram, Lori,
yeah.
Lori Talk 4. We just did some crazy Instagram things because I was saying that I just ate a crap of a huge thing of popcorn. It smelled so good when I walked in. I'm like, I just hope I don't choke. So if I do, you're gonna have to give me the Heimlich.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
And I have this. So yeah.
All right. Well,
thanks.
I mean, you do it all. So we're gonna mainly focus on voiceover here today because that's how you and I know each other. So we
Yes.
talk most about that world, but I also too want to touch on all the other wonderful things you do. I mean, writer, producer, actor, theater, comedy, improv, everything. There's not a thing you don't do.
Thank you.
So let's first talk about, for those of you who don't know Lori, what I wanted to show first was just your a little bit of your animation demo reel so they can get a sense of the
goodness.
range of all the things you do and see some of your characters. Then we're going
Okay.
to pull up of just a couple of the characters there. So,
Monsters University! Anybody getting off?
Okay, you can read the next one.
No, you can.
No, you.
Okay. Well, let's read it both together.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay. Here's Ollie Williams with a Black U weather forecast.
SpongeBob! I can't take it anymore. Nothing I do is working.
Sure it is, Pearl. Look at all the hip young people eating salads.
No, don't you get it? I've been trying to get fired since day 1.
I can't have you back here.
Are those my daughter's toys? Come on, Bunny, let's go. We're leaving.
Would you consider selling them?
I feel so strange.
What? Hey, you're not gonna throw up, are you? Sue!
Sis!
She's fading away.
What is it? What's wrong? Oh, read.
Well, Valspar is the love your color guarantee. If I don't love it, I get another color free. I'm thinking more of this.
Muriel?
Oh, yeah, like she's gonna answer you, Tom.
And here we go with the attitude. This is why you're single.
Oh, so I'm not supposed to point out when you do something stupid?
You hear that? Hear that tone you're using? That's penis repellent right there.
Look at this scar.
yeah.
This is proof that I was
So video
once a
game
mother.
here, right? The boss.
Yes, awesome. I gave up my body and my child for my country. There is nothing left inside me now. Nothing at all.
We gotta save the glimmer, so that's just what we'll do. Are we still in the Hugglemonsters?
Oh, I think so. But I've never seen this part before.
So
I don't
cute.
even know which way to go.
Hugglemonsters.
Just want a hug.
I'm welling up with tears. Now get off.
I mean, so amazing.
Yay.
I mean, there's so much stuff and there's so much range. Let's just talk about like some of the characters. So Pearl from SpongeBob.
Yeah.
What do you love most about Pearl?
I think I love about Pearl the most, well, so many things, but she's just a big, like, teenager who just really wants to be liked. And, and she just like sticks up for herself. She's just a goofball. She just wants her, like, we are into season 12, which is amazing, almost at 20 years, which is incredible. I mean, I just feel so blessed. But I think Pearl is just such a goofball. She absolutely, she just loves to just like be herself and just assert herself in any situation. And I can't relate to that at all. So yeah, she's just a girly girl, but like a big loudmouth girly girl. So I just love her. She's just really much, I think she's probably the character I can relate to the most.
And you guys, and I heard you say that one you guys actually read together, which is pretty uncommon for a lot of these jobs.
Yeah,
anymore.
a lot of shows, especially like Family Guy, we didn't always go in together. I mean, I read mostly with Seth. So before my character got, killed off, I would still go in by myself, but during the beginning, we'd all read together, which was amazing. SpongeBob from the very beginning. I mean, both of those shows I have had the honor, I need to knock on wood somewhere, that we've read, as a group from the very beginning, which is incredible because, I come from a theater background, so I love it because we're all together. And we just can't stop laughing. I mean, you cannot be in a bad mood. So, so grateful for that. And now Tom Kinney is directing. So for those people who don't know, Tom Kinney is your director. So SpongeBob is directing, which is amazing. So we get to go in together, which is crazy. So we do like 3 takes usually, and on the third pass, it's just this silly spastic like blah 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 blah, this nutso pass. So it's great.
How was the audition process for SpongeBob?
It's funny from what I remember, because I feel like it's 170 years ago today. But from what I remember, we did have a drawing, and for any of these auditions where you get, you're so lucky if you get a picture of the character, and I just knew from what I read that. And I think I saw, unless I'm having just, some major senility issues early, that she was just this she's the largest character in Bikini Bottom, right? So I just knew that she was like a teenager and whatever. And so I knew that she was like, Dad, like whatever. But I knew she had to be really like large. So I just put that together and made her sort of slow motion. And so you just kind of layer each factor in, And so, like, her laugh, like Pearl's laugh, like, ah, ha, 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 and that laughter and her crying, like, Daddy! Those things became, like, things that have layered in over the years. And they've written stuff in, that's just how those characters just become iconic. Forget Pearl, like, all sort of animation characters, But I just knew since she was so large that her voice had to be lower and bigger. And so you just add, like, teenager with that. You had, like, the size of her and a teenager and kind of bratty and yet like a daddy's girl, and that's how she kind of came out,
Were you always from the get-go able to make like big kind of ballsy choices like you do with the characters from the get-go?
Yeah,
That's
just
amazing.
because I'm lucky enough to have parents that always encourage me to do this. They're both voice actors. They grew up in the D.C. area in Maryland, D.C. On the East Coast. And so my parents, they met at theater school. So they were theater majors with radio minors. And so I always was encouraged to do that. I think if I had come home and said, I want to be a lawyer or doctor, they would have been like, that's ridiculous. You really need to have a backup in like tap dancing and juggling. So I watched them just, do the same thing we're doing and, be freelancers. And then my dad went into jingle writing and have an ad agency. And my mom was like this badass, like booth announcer. And I can't even barely get my mom on the phone. If you guys are watching, I hope, Mom, you'll call me later. She's always like directing a play and producing a play and in a play. And, they're both just sort of creative. Like my dad writes, musicals, and my brother's an amazing guitarist and singer. My sister's an amazing singer. She's a DJ in Nashville. So it's a very creative environment, from where I come from. So, yeah.
So when did you first, then at what age start, like going for the voiceover kind of work?
Oh, well, I think I was put in some Archway cookie spot. And so I had to say, like, hey, Archway Cookie Man, and I think that they just probably at a young age, like, fed me the lines. I was like, this is awesome. And then my dad would stick me and my sister in some of the commercials, and I was like, these are great. And then he had a great Shakey's campaign, and we just had to do that, like, he was one of the first guys to do, like, that close-up, like, single cam kind of stuff, and we were like, it was me and my cousins, and so we did, like, this great Shakey's commercial. And I was like, I'm hooked, And then I said to my mom, I just kind of actually want to be a normal kid. And she was like, great. They were not stage mom and dad kind of people. And so I just went off to be a normal kid. And then when I went to theater school, I was just like, I want to be a musical theater gal. I want to be on stage. I want to be like, I want to be like Faith Prince. And just every musical theater gal that I knew and grew up with. I was like, I'm going to be Patti LuPone. I just wanted to be Bernadette Peters. And I thought maybe I should I don't know, have voiceover be like my day job. So I went home and had my dad make me a demo and came back to New York and took some more coaching, and did that kind of stuff. And this wonderful woman, I praise God for Alice Whitfield, who sent my demo. She worked with me and I was like her protege, and she sent my demo reel off to Don Buchwald and Associates in New York. And then I was like, I think I'll make that like my job, I just love it so much. It's like the ultimate form of storytelling. You don't get to raise an eyebrow, have your hand on your hip. I mean, you are just there with your voice. I just love it so much. Yeah.
So talk about you do commercial, narration, animation, all different realms. Of voiceover.
Yeah, I love it because, like I said, I got to watch my folks do it, and I really genuinely believe, because I coach now too, that whether it's like Tonight at 5 or L'Oreal or holding down a character of an animated show or series or just any kind of audition that you have, your job as a storyteller. And like today I was doing my my Hallmark movies and mysteries, and every time, especially when it's like Tonight at 5, tomorrow night at 5, it's like woo, everything is exciting, the stakes are high. When you're doing a commercial, it's like you need to buy this product. When you're doing, not that everything should be big and large overacting, because that was just crazy, but it's, the stakes are high and you're telling a story. So I'm lucky enough to do the promo. I love that channel. I'm so grateful to be able to voice for them. And some of them are really sweet and sort of rom-com, and some of them are very mystery-y. And so even the tags I get excited to do, like Tonight at 9, tomorrow at 9, Sunday at 9, always at 9. Animation stuff is crazy. Commercial stuff, like that Valspar ad, I get to be like the crazy talking chameleon. And now they've written a campaign for us. Again, I just want to knock on wood somewhere. I don't know. So, yeah, to me, it's just always telling a story. You get to get behind the mic, just happens to be there, but, you're telling a story. And again, I come from a theater background, so
I think we do have, real quick, since you're talking about the theater, I think we have you created your own part, correct? And Reefer the musical, is that what was?
I created the part of May, which is like sort of a Reefer Den Madam in Reefer Madness, which my dear friends Kevin Murphy and Dan Studney wrote this amazing musical. Oh my goodness.
So just so you guys can hear her chops some more, this is...
I ought to leave him, but something makes me stay. It's the stuff.
Telling the kids to get off the stuff. Don't smoke marijuana.
I've tried to kill him, but my guy gives me love and stuff.
That's so great.
The lyrics and music are amazing.
Yeah. It's just fascinating for me because, so what about those people who say, you shouldn't try to do it all, you need to just focus on one thing? Yeah, what would you have to say to that?
I think I would say that, I guess the thing is about, you just don't want to pigeonhole yourself. First of all, the business has changed so much since I came up and into things. And, whether it's, I've dabbled in stand-up, and now I've written something and produced a show, which is amazing, with my co-creator, Fia Pereira. And it's things change, and you learn so much, I think, too, from each project that you do. Everything for me has begun with theater. And then I was a Groundlings member in New York. So improv keeps you fast and on your feet especially for VO. And then, you know what I mean? And then each thing sort of helps the other. And so now I really have this this itch to scratch about directing. Now I want to be on the other side of things, and I'm able to be a good coach and help people make their demos, because I know from when I've done that, and I had one of my mentors, Charlie Adler, be in the room when I made all my demos, so I know what it's like to do that. So for me, I think to limit yourself is doing yourself a disservice, because if you have all this stuff in you that's in there, why would you squelch that? I think it was Martha Graham made this great quote, and maybe I'm totally getting it wrong, and somebody will tweet it at us or whatever. You're really you're dampening your light. If you have all this stuff that wants to come out and shine, at least investigate it. Take that improv class, get into a good scene study class. Just be creative, period. Especially as an actor, someone who's artistic, take a pottery class. Just make sure you're being creative, so that in this business, it ebbs and flows. I mean, I have had some really hard times where I'm like, oh my God, no. as long as we're staying creative and those juices are flowing, you're more apt to then find work and be in a good place emotionally, spiritually. So when work comes in, you're like, yeah, I'm in a good place, you know?
Yeah, talk about that, because I know you're big on that, like taking care of yourself and, whatever that means for you, whether it's yoga or doing whatever, so that you are open
It's a lot
and
of
available
cigarettes.
to
No, I'm kidding.
drinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a glass of champagne when I got my hair blown. I was like, oh, I think I can have like a half a sip of that. Woo. I mean, listen, there have been times when I just thought, like, it's really difficult, especially they're like, trying to find a new agent. We have the women in the 50s, sort of cougar, funny lady who can really do also good drama category. Thanks. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, and I'm just going to keep on going. I mean, this business also isn't for sissies. Like, you gotta create your own stuff now, which that's what my show is about, is like finding relevancy and love and the business, because what else are you going to do? You have to be your own cheerleader. So you got to really, like, radical self-care to me means taking care of my insides, means like, it's so hippy-dippy, and anybody that's watching this is going to be like, yeah, but whether it's just like making sure I spend time with family and friends and animals. And also one big thing for me, when I was going through the most wretched breakup, my dear friend Fia, was like, you gotta, you might want to come out and be of service more. I think that'll really get you out of this really dark place that I was in. And it totally did. And then it kept me in this one particular arena of trying to save dogs from the dog meat trade, which happens in Asia, and they do all sorts of horrible things to them. So I want to bring a lot of awareness to that, because they're tortured, then they try to they consume them. So for me to be of service to someone else, and just in general, like, what if it's just smiling at somebody? I mean, here in Los Angeles, what if you just said, hey, when I lived in New York, people are like, oh, New Yorkers are so friendly. We'll say hi to you on the street. LA, you're like, people cut you off as they're like at Whole Foods going to get their Zen meditation peppermint oil. And you're like, you know what, blah, 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 and it's just like, just be nice to people. Yeah. Be nice to people, whether it's animals, helping literacy, battered women's shelter, like older folks. Just go do something. There is no end to compassion. Go be of service somewhere. Do something that's larger than yourself. This business has so much neuroses. Go do something that gets you out of your head and helps other people. That really helps me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm from Nebraska originally, where you have to, if you're rude if you don't say hi to somebody that is next to you. And I thought the same thing when I lived in New York first. I thought they were great. They were friendly, helpful. And then I moved here, and same experience. Like walked down the street, nobody, people cutting you off. I was like, I mean, there's some great people here, but there's a lot of that, which does, when you're being creative, it can start to wear you down. Like if you don't take care of yourself, or take that trip out, to Palm Springs, or do something that gets you away. And you also have to like take breaks. I think as like someone who's, especially VO people, like if they're in their own booth, I'm sorry, I'm trying to cross my legs under the table really with a lot of uncomfortability. If you're in your booth, if you're going from audition to audition, you're trying to learn lines and you're trying to, see your friends, LA's especially spread out, or anyone who's listening anywhere, you have to make the effort to see your friends and see your family. Like I'm going home for my dad's birthday and I'm happy I'm going to go see my mom at Christmas. It's like, you have to make the effort, and you have to make the effort for yourself and other people to stay connected, or else it just becomes this vacuum. And I've been so guilty of that myself. You have to stay present in your own life and other people's, because otherwise you're sort of fade away, and you're like, wait a minute. Where are all my friends? Where, and just saying hi to people. It's like, hi. And people are like, hello. Hi back, Another thing with voiceover and acting is a lot of the rejection. So how do you deal with when either maybe you had a job and you got let go from it, or you had an audition, or you have go through a spell where you're not booking? What are the things that you do to maybe break up your routines or like get yourself through those? Yeah. Not that you've had many troubles booking.
No,
but.
I certainly have. I mean, I think, like I said, I think understanding that the business has highs and lows, and just sort of knowing the trends, like summertime is like, what? For voice and on camera. And again, do your own stuff. I hate hearing that. I hate like, you have to do your own stuff. And you're like, you. But doing your own stuff really helps. Getting it, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to talk to some younger friends of mine. I just worked on a movie last week, and they're all like, we're in this Meisner class, and we're doing this like Strasberg thing. And I was like, I have got to get back into acting class. And also just knowing it's not personal. I really struggle with that myself. It's nothing personal. They went with a blonde, they went with a brunette. It's not personal. And I think because I've been doing it so long, out of all the neuroses I have, it's just not one of them. Because it's just not personal. I mean, it really isn't. So I just try to stay focused on the work itself. And I certainly fall prey to, like, you know, the neuroses of it. But I just really try to, again, go back to what we were saying before, is seeing my friends and having fun and just adding more fun and service into my life, because otherwise I'm like, down the rabbit hole she goes, you know? Yeah.
So to stay on voiceover a little bit more, so for those voiceover people out there, you know, listening, trying to get tips and things, I know we have a couple questions from people too, but so walk us through, like, what happens from the second you get a script to sending that audition out.
Oh, sure. When I get a script, I scan it, you know, I read it through usually like 2 or 3 times. And then I actually, because the trends, one of the things you guys have for folks that want to get into voiceovers, you have to listen to the trends. And I'm sure you know too from your work, the trend right now is very, very non-announcery, very real, conversational. And sometimes I'm like, because I have a very voiceover sounding voice. You know, I grew up with like 2 voiceover parents. They were like, "Good night, honey. See you in the morning." You know, so I'm kidding, Mom and Dad. So sort of, and so I read it through, and then I will do a couple things that I talk about in coaching, which is that sometimes I'll like try to just like think about, I'll scan it down for what is the spot trying to say. That I'm totally making this up, right? So let's say that you can get 2 phones. You can get, if it's a family sharing plan, like if it's Verizon, right? So then if you get 1 phone, then you can get 2 for the, you know, for the rest of the family. Or if it's for whatever the gist of the spot is. Like, I try to get the gist of the spot. Like Diet Coke, it's like, you know, it's the most amazing thing you could have for the summer, you know, for barbecues and stuff like that. So I try to kind of get the gist of the spot, and then I just get an opinion about it, right? So even though, let's say I'm vegan and I don't drink soda, I will still get an opinion about just like summer fun, you know, and then I will talk myself in. And I learned that so many years ago from Mary Lynn Wisner, and I love you, Mary Lynn, for that so much. And so I will talk myself in, and I do exactly what I do in on-camera acting, which is like, who am I talking to? And I have actually in my booth at my house a little stick figure person, and I have, it's sort of this ambiguous person because it's like a stick figure and I cannot draw, but I basically just remember I'm talking to someone, and sometimes if I don't even have the wherewithal that I'm talking to you or to my sister, I often talk to her. Especially even if it's funny about shopping, or if it's like insurance, because our parents are getting older. Sorry, folks, if you're watching, but you know what I mean. I just know that I'm talking to someone, and I kind of talk myself in, and then I just edit that stuff out. And just knowing that I'm talking to someone, especially if the spot starts off with like introducing, or, you know, so that it just kind of has this natural feel. And I'm just like, if here's the piece of paper, right? The thing that I do is like, I'm just like looking at the copy, and I'm just coming up and I'm just going to kind of tell you about it. I'm just going to give you the information that's on the page, and I'm just going to give you the information. I'm just telling you the words that are on the page, and that keeps it conversational for me. That's kind of how I do it. And even animation now sort of, it has a more conversational, sort of cinematic sort of read to it, unless it's just like, you know, super Disney. Even that has a more cinematic feel. And then I usually will do a second take that's more improv, because I love just not knowing what I'm saying and letting stuff like fly out of my mouth. And then I hit, you know, I may make it into an MP3, and then off it goes.
Love it. And then this sounds amazing, and you book it, it's great.
Hope so. Knock on wood. And I do usually like send it and say a good prayer and say like, whoever gets it, amen. Woohoo! Send.
Oh, it's such a fun world. What advice do you have for people who, since you have such a long animation background, for people now maybe wanting to get in it when a lot of the jobs are with celebrities, or we see less jobs coming
I
to
see
people?
that too. I feel that too. Or the same, group of fabulous ladies that I'm grateful enough to call my friends. That's I'm always like, gosh, they have the market cornered. You know, nobody can do your voice but you. I mean, you just, I think so much of the time, myself included, you try to sound like so-and-so. Well, I can't sound like Tara Strong or Grey Delisle or whatever. I can't sound like Cree Summer. You know, you can only sound like you. So we're so busy in our head trying to think of, I don't sound like so-and-so. I can possibly compete with the business itself. And then you're so in your head that you can't possibly be actually in the scene. You can't be possibly in the scene. And so especially when you're auditioning for, or you're making a demo, or you're even at work, especially if you're going in by yourself for jobs, or you're doing some stuff that's in a right to work state that's not union, then you have to really make sure that you're in a scene. We need to hear you in a scene with someone. You know, we have to really make sure that we're hearing you in a scene. So the more that you've taken some improv or some acting, so that we can hear you mid dialogue, mid scene. And a lot of the audition stuff that I know that I get is like one sentence and one sentence that has no correlation to the sentence prior or the one after. So I hope that makes some sense. So to stay in class and always have your sort of acting chops, and just know that there is nobody that sounds like you. And so when I get, and also just like one thing that Charlie gave me that you guys can all just send me a check for, is that to think of all the crazy people that are in your family, dialects that you like to do, celebrity impressions that you do very well or very poorly, and people that that you just have met along the way in your life, stories that you've liked to tell. Like about that, I know this crazy lady that I met at this party who totally talked like she had a weird like Sibyl S or whatever. Make this card, this like. I tell this for all my students, so really everybody can send me a check. But you make like a note card and you write down like, you know, just this crazy cast of characters. Like my first roommate at college was Susie Kennedy, and she was from Chicago. And she's like, I've never met anybody that was half Jewish. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. So of course I'm totally obsessed with that. And then my stepmother's from Philly, and her best friend is Hope. And she's like, oh, he's got this high voice. And she's like, oh, Laura, you've lost so much weight. I can't believe it, you know. So there's certain characters in my life that I've come across who I love. And so they're sort of like up in my brain. So keep those cast of characters so that you don't feel like you have to reach so far outside of yourself. Like, I don't have what it takes. You have met at least 20 people in your head, in your life that you can store up here that you already know and can do with joy, so that when you're reading, and you can practice just by reading scripts or stuff from a magazine or from a book. Get a great book, get a great, you know, crazy like child's book, and read them in those characters, so that you then have them all at your disposal, at your fingertips. You don't have to go outside and like, I don't have what it takes. Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
you totally
that's great
do.
Advice. Yeah, especially airports, malls, places where you see tons of people. Airport, I love.
Oh yeah, when we were teaching in Atlanta together, you and I, we met a lot of crazy characters. We were probably too tipsy to write them down, but anyway, yeah.
I know, we should have been writing those down. Yeah, well, someday they'll come back to us. Let's ask. We had one person that had a good little video where it was just sounds. I was going to read her name if I can pull up from all
yes.
you fans
I think it's
that
Kelly.
tweeted. Yeah, do you have the name?
I think it's Kelly, right? Kelly Bender. I think she was showing a clip of me. I don't even know how that got out there.
Yeah, Kelly Bender.
Yeah.
You guys can hear her.
Okay, just listen. So it's like on a loop. So Tom Kinney and I were husband and wife. So we're on SpongeBob together. But there was a show called Hugglemonsters that you played from my reel, which was very sweet. Thank you. And so we played husband and wife on the show Hugglemonsters. And my character is very dingy. And in fact, from that exercise, just P.S., I was very obsessed with laughing when I was a kid. I'm aging myself, but I love Goldie Hawn's voice. So she went on my list. And so this character was very kind of earthy. But dingy, but very earthy. So I totally chose to use Goldie Hawn. And then Tom Kinney was like this. So that was my character, Mama, and his character was Dado. And in that particular episode, I can't remember what, we were monsters. What does it say? I don't remember. We were supposed to make monster. We were either doing proud monster noises. We were doing proud monster noises or annoyed monster noises or something like that. So, and we look very insane, right? So, oftentimes, whether you're at home auditioning or whether you're at the job, you're definitely like physicalizing. You're just trying to like make sure you're not off mic. You're staying on mic. So we were like, so you have to just get into this crazy place where if you're a monster, and that's how monsters talk, right? Then that's what we were doing. And so I forget who took that little clip.
It doesn't say here.
I don't remember. No. I couldn't have because I'm doing it. But it's definitely us being like happy parents or something. Happy monster parents or very sad monster parents or whatever we were doing. We were just being very physical. So you'll find very strange clips of most voice actors looking very inappropriate, like, just acting insane with their bodies, like we have no ability to stand upright. But yeah, that's what we were doing.
That's awesome. One more question from Diane Simmons fans. So this is
Yay.
another one of your huge characters from Family Guy. I think we have a photo of that up for you too. It says, "What is your opinion about Seth MacFarlane bringing Diane Simmons back to Family Guy? Do you think it will happen?"
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I think it's so funny because if anybody watches Family Guy or watched that particular time, people fall into the water all the time on soap operas. I'm like, wouldn't it be so great if she came back as a zombie? I think that'd be hysterical. She and I have had a back and forth thing, which would be great if she came back as like her crazy sister. It would just be so like a soap opera. It would just be crazy. There's so many myriad of things. So I think everybody should just bombard Seth, who's so talented and lovely and a dear friend, to just think of something crazy and wild and just give him like crazy ideas and just keep retweeting, bring Diane back. We just have to start a movement because
Guys,
Tom and
start it.
Diane, right? I'll look into your camera. Because the banter from them in the early years, actually for many years, a dozen years, is just like none other. It's so hysterical. So I'd love it if her evil twin came back and tried to get a job there, or I don't know, she ran for mayor of the, since our lovely departed Adam West is no longer there. I don't know, something crazy. Where she had some role, and I think that if we just made loud enough stink and started tweeting at Fox, there's some vodka in here.
All right, we're on it. We're going to start it tonight.
Yeah.
Start the movement.
Start the movement. Bring Diane back. But yes, she's a great person to follow, and I really appreciate it. That's awesome. Yeah.
I know this is probably hard to choose, but is there a character that's your favorite or that is really...
No, there really isn't, because when I first came to LA, I have Chris Zimmerman to thank because we did like a pre-Family Guy thing called Larry and Steve, because Seth won this amazing, I don't know what you would call it, like that's not a scholarship, but it was his time to, he was graduating from Rhode Island School of Design, and he won this amazing opportunity to record his, whatever it was, his sort of thesis or his final project. From Rhode Island School of Design, and he went to Hanna-Barbera, and Chris Zimmerman, who I'd taken classes with, because I was like, I don't need to take classes, I'm hilarious. I was in the Groundlings. He was like, no, you need to take lots of classes for animation. So Chris Zimmerman hired me and Seth, and we did all the voices for his final project, which was called Larry and Steve. So if you look that up, that's really fun. And then a couple of years later, we'd stayed in touch, actually, by the good old-fashioned telephone, and I think like writing letters. And then all of a sudden, cut to many years later, we had fallen out of touch. I went to Fox and I was testing for the character of Lois. And I was like, hi, just because the script was so different. It was about another guy and a talking dog, but it was totally different. It was so weird. And so obviously, lovely and talented and insanely funny Alex Borstein got Lois, and I got Diane. And so I just fell in love with Diane. And around the same time, I did all these incidental ancillary characters. And then I couldn't believe that I'm very lucky, got on SpongeBob. But also before that, there was a great show I learned like on-the-job training about voiceovers. Chris is also responsible for I think my entire career pretty much, besides her and Seth, was a show called SWAT Cats. And so on there was like Barry Gordon and Frank Welker and Charlie Adler and, oh my gosh, I'm missing some people, so somebody will have to tweet at me who I'm missing. And Candy Milo and Jim Cummings, and it was amazing. And Gary Owens, may he rest in peace, was one of the loveliest human beings, right? Mm-hmm. And so he played my uncle, and I was this like really amazing, like tough little like, kitty cat, like fighter pilot. And that was amazing. And then I love the boss from Metal Gear Solid. I just love that woman so much. She is tough, and I wish that she were actually in the world right now as a real person, because she would, I don't want to offend anyone politically, but she would just sort of make things right in the world.
Yeah, I want to talk about her more, because she was one I had that I know she's a beloved character of yours from many people on Twitter and out there. Yeah. So how was that different from other roles, just because of her strength and her attitude and her voice?
Yeah. I remember, as women age, like our voices get different, but so I remember having to really like lower my voice, and I would have to do this intense warm-up to get my voice to be lower. And so Chris Zimmerman, I remember she is an amazing director, and when she's on the talkback, she's like, you love him, or she'll be like, you would die for this country, and it's just like, oh my God. So it's very intense with her on the talkback. And for all gaming directors, it's just it's like apples to books. I mean, so many of us cross over for games and animation, and I don't do nearly as many games as I do animation, but the sessions themselves are like night and day. It is vocally very taxing. This is why we're still in some negotiations. We're just sort of changing the structure of how interactive gaming actually looks to the world. Whole other union thing going on there. But that character and gaming in general, the stakes are so high, but not in an animation way. There's so much sort of life and death with the characters that usually has a lot of not just like, shoot 'em up kind of battle, but there's like you're fighting for your life in a very different way. And that character is just so intense. I mean, she is really the prequel to all of that whole Metal Gear Solid trilogy. So I just so wish before the powers that be sort of split up that, and who knows, maybe somebody would actually write a prequel for her, for the boss, because she's really the one that started it all. And it's a wonderful character and loyalty to the end to all the fans that have just supported that character in the game in general. Really wonderful.
That's great. Awesome. What do you do to... since you talked about it can be really taxing, those sessions can be long and a lot of hours. What do you do to keep yourself in that mindset, or to start yourself if there's a day where you're like, maybe you're not feeling it, or you feel like, oh, I don't know how I can do this today. How do you get yourself out of that and into performing?
You mean emotionally or vocally or both?
Both, yeah.
Well, vocally, I don't have those vocal cords of steel. I'm so jealous of so many of my VO friends that are just like, bah! First thing in the morning. I'm always like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. I make sure I get to sleep the night before. I am an 8-hour gal. I sleep. If I don't sleep, I am screwed. So I'm a sleeper. I have to drink a ton of water. I'm a water person. I sleep. I make sure, and I'm a warm up person. I remember even for Hugglemonsters, that little, we gotta save the glimmer bird. There were just these little blips of songs we had to learn, and everyone would tease me because I was like la 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 la. I have an audition Thursday where I have to sing, and I've been just singing full because I have to sing full out Broadway divas that I have to imitate. And I'm really excited and nervous about it. And I just found out, and so I've been singing full out because I have to sing. I usually try to sing every day. And if you're in a bad mood, you're just trying to channel that. I mean, that's what any performer does of any kind, whether you're a musician or you're a writer. All any kind of artist will tell you. You just put all of that into your work somehow. Yeah. You just have to. Right?
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to bring it. Yep. I just looked up, and I know we don't have a ton of time left, and I want to make sure we still get a couple more points. So, I want to jump over to on camera a little bit, because not only do you have this amazing credits for voiceover, but you have been, on Desperate Housewives, Ray Donovan, Bones, Southland, CSI 902, and you trimmed Joey's eyebrows on Friends.
Did. That was awesome. Yeah, when I first got out of NYU, like I said, I thought I wanted to be a musical theater girl, and I started working right away, thank God. I think just because I had such an attitude, right? So I sprayed perfume on people for 6 months. That was my little day job for about 6 months. And then I was doing voiceover, and I really wanted to stay in New York and do theater. And then I started doing, I was on the Law and Order was my first job, I think, one of my first jobs. I was on the Jane Curtin show, and then I just kept moving through. I just kept pushing through to do on camera stuff, and I absolutely love it. I mean, with my improv background and all that stuff, and I've just been kind of I'm like your journeyman working gal. Mm-hmm. I just keep plugging along, And some of the best, one of the funnest jobs actually was waxing Joey Matt LeBlanc. Because first of all, he's so handsome, and I remember being on the set of Friends, and I think it was right after they had asked for their big raise, and I remember being on the set, and I will say he was the only one that came out and was like, "Hey everybody, thanks to all the the extras and the guest stars for coming in," and he was so up for physical comedy. I was excited to wax his eyebrows and bring him back, and so we had this whole physical comedy. I was like, "Are you okay with trying this? Are you okay with me trying that?" And me pushing your head, and can I push your hand into the thing of wax? And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're awesome." So he was totally game for anything. And
Joey.
Yeah. One of my other favorite jobs was on 6 Feet Under. I mean, that was at the time when that show was this is amazing. And my dear friend Max Muchnick, who wrote Will and Grace, and I'm so proud of him because that's back. Mm-hmm. And so he wrote some other terrific shows like Boston Common, and I just got to cry on that show a lot because I went to school with him, and he was like, "Whenever you fake cry, it's hysterical." And then Ray Donovan, I remember that was just the coolest thing. I have a quick John Voight story. I saw him on the set, and it was the first couple of episodes of that show, and I'd seen a trailer. So I was said to my agent, "Yeah, I want to do that." And they were like, "It's a co-star." I'm like, "No. First of all, it's a week-long co-star, so I do want to do it. I have a couple scenes." And I said to him as he was walking around like the sort of area where all the trailers are with like just a slightly open bathrobe. And I was like, that's kind of weird, but okay. And I said, congratulations, Mr. Voight, your show is amazing. Because you just knew it was going to be this amazing show. And he said, who are you? And I said, because a lot of people don't read the whole script. Sometimes I don't. You sort of scan for where your part is, unless you need to read the whole script for, of course, you're not an idiot. You read the whole script to see what's going on. And I said, I'm the other woman. In the script, I was the other woman. I'm usually the other woman or a cougar or an agent or bitchy publicist. And then he goes, of course you are. And he took my face and he kissed me right on the mouth for a really long time. And I was like, that's awkward. That's really awkward. And then he said, would you like to have lunch? And I was like right now? And he's like, no, tomorrow for when we break for lunch. And I was like, okay, that's the weirdest thing I think I've ever been asked is to have lunch with John Voight at the end of the day for, at craft service time for the following day. So then he asked me and I was like, well, I'm vegan, but I would maybe sit with you for some rice and vegetables and beans. And then he was just too weird. So I didn't have lunch with him. I just actually said, you know what, you're really creeping me out and I'm going to go sit at another table. So that's my John Voight story.
It makes for a great one. And now every time I see him, I'm going to think of that. Imagine
He's a
him in
phenomenal
robe.
actor. But you got to get out there. You got to do your own things. And now, my own show that I wrote, I wrote and created with my friend Fia Pereira, a show called Do the Voice. Because in animation, you always get, you're Pearl the Whale and SpongeBob. Oh my gosh, do the voice. I mean, so you get you get asked rather to do your voice, like to do the voice of whatever. You're Diane Simmons. Oh my gosh. I mean, I did go through Whole Foods once, and she was like, "Are you Diane Simmons?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." So. That's what happens, right? So, thinking about like trying to find relevancy in your career, your love life after a horrendous breakup and things like that. This sort of project kind of birthed itself, and she and I created something totally wonderful. And it's sort of like if you've watched the show Fleabag, it's wonderful. She sort of out of grief does a lot of crazy things with men and just life, and it's sort of that meets Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. It's a musical comedy, so I sort of get to break out into song. I figured why not throw all my talents in there with a smattering of the comeback, because we sort of know that I'm who I am, just like how Lisa Kudrow on The Comeback knows who she is, and it's sort of like a lovable, but slightly self-absorbed, famous voice gal and her sort of, coming of age, if you will, at 50. So that's 51. So that's what the show's about. And we shot a great pilot presentation directed by Darren Stein, who's an amazing director. He directed Jawbreaker, which is very pre-Mean Girls and pre-Heathers, and Gay Best Friend. He's an amazing director. And we're taking it out, and we're having some really great feedback on it. And so hopefully we'll get it out there, and it'll be coming to a channel near you very soon. So I'm very, very excited.
We want to see that. Yeah. So how much do you credit lot that has happened for you with your ability to hustle and keep continuing and making things happen, like you said, creating opportunities
constantly.
like this.
You just can't take it personally. Yeah, I've done a one-woman show. I had to just like trying to get even new representation recently. I was just, I picked up the phone because a dear friend of mine, I don't want to name names in case it's weird, but she was like, just call them. I think you guys are a great fit with my agent. Just use my name, because she was on the set. I picked up the phone. This was 2 weeks ago. I was like, hey, so-and-so agency, my dear friend is with you guys. She was in my pilot, and she said we'd be a great match. So I'm just picking up the good old-fashioned telephone, and he and I laughed. I said, can I speak to so-and-so? He gets on the phone, and I said, so thank you for taking my call. I'm actually, this is exciting. We're using the phone. He laughed. And I said, so I'm actually going to send over, if it's okay with you, an email that has got the link to all my stuff and a link of the pilot that I wrote and created and I produced and I'm starring in. Would that be cool with you? And is it okay if I follow up in blah, blah, blah days? He said, sure. Never heard from him. So I followed up in such and such days. And I said, hey, so I'm following up in that time that I said I would follow up. You got to do it. You just got to do it. And then you have to also give yourself some hippy-dippy affirmations, or every time that you're like, I did something really good, you either have to take yourself out for a big cocktail, or frozen yogurt, take a hike, go get your nails done. Guys, go get a pedicure. It feels really good. But you have to give yourself these mini little, I did
rewards,
good. Rewards. Because it's freaking hard.
Yep.
But you just keep going, because if you want to do this, there's that aspect to it. But I genuinely feel like, so here's the business, right? The acting side of it just happens to be, when you book work, that's the icing on the cake. The rest of our business is just that. It's show business. getting new headshots and getting a demo reel and making your website and, going to some like Meet the Agent nights and doing all that stuff that you're like, oh God. But that's just the reality of what it is. So if you can find ways to reward yourself or like have a cocktail afterwards with a good friend, do all those kind of things, then it's not so like, oh my God, I want to kill my, because otherwise you're just going to like be in this horrible place and you're going to be like, they didn't cast me. It's their fault. It's their fault. No, the onus is on you, to also be a happy person, to be a joyful person. So when you walk in the room, you're not like,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then you're able to too, I think, the not beating yourself up too afterwards. Going in there, doing your job, and then letting it go.
Yeah, and know if you're in a funky place, then that day's not the day to do those calls, and that's not the day to do those emails. But then say, okay, I'm going to negotiate with myself. Let me get my phone out, my calendar. I didn't do it on Tuesday. I'm going to do it Thursday and reschedule with yourself. I mean, I do that with myself all the time, and I'm like, move it. I'm like, I want to punch someone. Let's do it Thursday. Okay.
No, I think that's key. I do that a lot now with things. If your energy's low, then I'll start to do those things that like don't require much of my creative mind, but I need to get done as well. And then that way I don't have those looming. And when I do need to be creative, if they're off the list, they're done. You're ready to move on to the next one. Yeah, that's a great point, I think. Yeah. All right, we're running out of time, so I want to make sure we do the TomGirl of the week, and then I want to come back to you for speed round.
Whee!
Okay, so real quick, we'll do our TomGirl of the week. I think we have a photo, maybe. There we go. So this is Sage Erickson. So she's a pro surfer, and she just won the Vans U.S. Open of surfing in Huntington Beach. So check her out. Yeah, she's awesome, fun. Follow her Instagrams. Lots of cool pics, and just seems like just real.
She's badass.
Yeah, badass, fun. Just good little TomGirl tribe, and just fun people. So check her out. No, I've only taken one lesson. It's on my list to learn.
Well, our friend Scott Parkin can teach us how to surf.
Yes, we need to go to his that day he has. Yes. All right, so back to you for our speed round.
Yeah.
Just a couple quick questions. Okay, your favorite drink?
Well, I like a dry Prosecco, or I've decided that now I just want like straight up tequila. I don't know, like a nice just rich tequila because it doesn't give me headaches.
Your guilty pleasure?
These vegan cookies, they're from I can't even think of what the brand is, but these vegan like chocolate chip cookies. I can't think of the brand, but yes, just you can plop them on my doorstep if you wouldn't mind, like later, like after 11.
Sure.
Okay.
On it.
Good.
With tequila.
With tequila.
Your happy place?
Hiking with my dogs up the Cahuenga Pass, like near where the Hollywood sign is.
Something people would be surprised to know about you.
That I am, that I'm actually kind of, that I'm really emotional, that I'm really kind of a weepy, I'm a crier. I'm a crier, and I'm very oversensitive. I'm really oversensitive.
All right, and the top place on your bucket list right now?
Oh, to go, you mean, where I want to go? Mm-hmm. God, I'm so not well-traveled.
Or to do, if there's like something like to learn to surf or to,
I'm really uncoordinated. He's going to have to teach me. I really want to go to Costa Rica. I mean, I know everybody does, but I really want to go there. Or I want to go to, I know my dear friend Fia climbed Kilimanjaro. Ooh. I'd love to be a badass like her. My friend would do that.
Nice ones. All right. Well, before we go, I want you to tell people where they can either contact you for if they are looking for coaching or to find out more about getting involved with more of the animal activism that you do.
You can just contact me through my website. You can contact me. My website is there. I mean, the email is there. And so you can go to laurieallen.com. And thank you so much for that, by the way. And I would love for you guys to please follow my dear friend Mark Ching at Animal Hope and Wellness. You can find him on Facebook, and you can follow him especially on Instagram. He's got some amazing stories. Sometimes the videos are hard to see, but it's really important that you just even know. I always say that just knowing that the dog and cat meat trade exists is being enough of an activist, and just sharing, and that this actually goes on in the United States in 44 countries. Sorry about this because it's kind of intense to hear. In 44 countries, in 44 states, pardon me, in the United States, it's legal to consume your pet. So we all have to be kind of aware that this is going on. So if something's actually going on in your state, you can call the Animal Task Force and tell them what's up. But in the meantime, please follow Mark with a C, Ching, Animal Hope and Wellness, and be a part of what's going on in this movement, the dog and cat meat trade, and do everything and anything you can to just share through social media, because they don't want us to know what's going on. So you got to be in the know and share it as much as possible. Even though it's hard, just keep sharing and knowing about it. I thank you for that.
Thank you too. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming. I could talk to you for another whole hour. So wonderful. So I can't wait to see your show come out.
Do the voice.
Come out.
Hashtag do the voice. Do the voice. Hashtag do the voice.
So,
Can you do the voice? First
Such
scene,
a great name.
First scene is the best, especially when a gynecologist asks you to do the voice.
Was that a true story?
I don't know. You'll have to find out.
All right. Well, stay tuned. Okay. Well, we will see you guys all here again next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.